Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. It's safe to say the Harry Potter world is more alive than ever after the recent trailer drop for HBO's new Harry Potter series. And since then, I've been working away on breakdowns and all kinds of other stuff. It was originally advertised as a teaser, so it was quite a pleasant surprise when we ended up getting 2 minutes. But that also means there's a lot to unpack. If you haven't seen my trailer breakdown video, previous Easter egg video, or video on how the trailer breaks canon, then check out one or all of those videos after this one. Anyway, like I mentioned, I covered 10 Easter eggs from the trailer in a previous video, but unsurprisingly, there are a bunch that I missed. So today I'm going to be covering some more. Some of these I got from your comments in the last video, and others I noticed independently. I'm also sure that more of these will continue to trickle in as eagle-eyed fans further dissect the trailer. Also, before we start, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more coverage of the show and Harry Potter content in general. Let's dive into it. The letters. There's a moment about a quarter of the way through the trailer when everything begins to look up for Harry as we finally witness his Hogwarts letter arriving at Privet Drive. When I first watched the trailer, I was too excited for Harry and didn't really examine the scene any further. But there are actually some really cool small details here that are easy to overlook, because it isn't just the letter sitting there. There are actually 3 items: a postcard, a brown envelope, and then Harry's letter. And this lines up directly with how the scene is described in the book. Harry dodged the smelting stick and went to get the mail. 3 things lay on the doormat: a postcard from Uncle Vernon's sister Marge, who is vacationing on the Isle of Wight, a brown envelope that looked like a bill, and a letter for Harry. Harry picked it up and stared at it, his heart twanging like a giant elastic band. No one ever in his whole life had written to him. Who would? He had no friends, no other relatives. He didn't belong to the library, so he'd never even gotten rude notes asking for books back. Yet here it was, a letter, addressed so plainly there could be no mistake. This detail may be very minor, but it's also a great example of the approach the series seems to be taking, as in the films, moments like this were usually simplified or removed to keep things moving. The Flying Motorbike. In my last video, I discussed the significance of the coat hanger in Harry's cupboard under the stairs, but what I missed was another small detail. If you look closely, Harry has a drawing pinned up on the wall, and it appears to be a flying motorbike. This is likely a reference to the motorbike that Rubeus Hagrid used to deliver Harry to Privet Drive as a baby. In the books, Harry has vague, recurring memories of that night, fragments that don't fully make sense to him yet. So the idea that he's drawn something resembling the motorbike suggests that those memories are still there, just beneath the surface. It's a subtle way of showing something the books mostly describe internally, hinting that Harry remembers more about his past than he realizes. No quills. In one of the classroom scenes, there's a small detail that's easy to overlook, but could actually be a pretty notable change. When Harry is sitting in class writing notes, he isn't holding a quill. It looks more like a pencil or possibly some kind of pen, but it definitely doesn't resemble the feather quills that are used throughout the books. And what's interesting is that across the trailer, there aren't really any clear shots of quills at all. While at first this may not seem like a big deal, it's worth mentioning that in the books, quills are standard. Students are expected to write with them, and it's even mentioned how difficult they can be to use, especially for someone like Harry who didn't grow up in the wizarding world. So if the show ends up having students use pencils or other writing tools instead, that would actually be a pretty noticeable deviation from canon. The wand. The trailer gives us our first glimpse of Harry going through the motions of preparing for the wizarding world, and this process is fundamentally incomplete without a visit to Ollivander's. At one point in the trailer, there's a shot of a wand, presumably Harry's, but if you look closely at the design, it doesn't really match any one version we've seen before. It sort of looks like a hybrid. The wand has a darker, more natural look, with a thicker grip similar to the one Harry uses in the later films. But at the same time, it also features more intricate, almost vine-like detailing, something that's closer to the style used for Hermione's wand in the original movies. So visually, it sits somewhere in between. One of the criticisms of the films is that wand designs became increasingly stylized and polished over time, moving away from how they're described in the books, which is generally much simpler and more organic, and this version seems to be leaning back in that direction. Some fans have also pointed out that the handle design is quite similar to the one used in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child stage production, which could suggest they're pulling from multiple interpretations rather than strictly following the film designs. Ron's dirty nose. There's a moment towards the end of the trailer where we get a proper look at Ron, and surprise surprise, he's got dirt right on the end of his nose. Now, this might not seem like anything at first, but it's actually pulled directly from the books, as there's a scene on the Hogwarts Express where Hermione points it out. "Alright, I only came in here because people outside are behaving very childishly, racing up and down the corridors," said Hermione in a sniffy voice. "And you've got dirt on your nose, by the way. Did you know?" Ron glared at her as she left. It's a really small character moment, but it does a couple of things. First, it reinforces Ron's personality early on. He can sometimes be a bit scruffy. And second, it's part of Hermione's introduction. That slightly blunt, no-filter way she points things out is very much in line with how she's written in the books. Hogwarts Express number. One very subtle change to the Hogwarts Express that most people probably wouldn't notice is that in the trailer, the train is numbered 5977. This is different from the films, where it was 5972. Now, on the surface, this change is insignificant, but there's an interesting additional detail that was pointed out in my comment section by Wesley's Workshop 4093. According to him, both numbers correspond to real locomotives from the same class, but while 5972, the one used in the films, is a preserved engine, 5977 was actually scrapped in real life. And that lines up quite neatly with something from Harry Potter canon. The Hogwarts Express is said to have originally been a Muggle train that was essentially acquired by the Wizarding World, with memory charms used to cover it up, effectively making it disappear from the Muggle record. The magic number. There are quite a few Quidditch shots throughout the trailer, and in one of them, Harry is walking out onto the pitch wearing the number 7. This is interesting because 7 is a pretty significant number in the Harry Potter series. It shows up constantly: 7 Horcruxes, 7 years at Hogwarts, 7 players on a Quidditch team. It's essentially the most symbolically important number in the story. So giving Harry that number, whether intentional or not, fits very naturally within that pattern. Just a small detail, but an interesting one nonetheless. Some other honourable mentions include a quick sighting of Hedwig at King's Cross, as well as the noticeable use of tree imagery throughout Hogwarts, from the architecture itself to the updated crest and logo. Shout out to Brett's thoughts for clocking that one, which appear to incorporate roots and branches. There's also a brief shot during the snowball fight where the girl next to Harry is believed to be Hannah Abbott, something that's since been confirmed on Instagram. Anyway, that's it for today's video. If you enjoy the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and to forget to live.